Zombies cannot run, people. Can we just put this to bed? ParaNorman is the story of Norman Babcock. He's a young man who is a bit of an outcast. He's a bit of a misfit. He gets bullied at school. His parents don't understand him. His sister's mean to him. He's a little strange, and what it comes down to is that he can see and speak to dead people. He has a gift. He has a paranormal ability. And while that is one of those things that maybe might not make you popular in school, it's the very thing that this town will need when a horde of 300-year-old zombies comes to invade his town.
Seine Familie ist ein kleines bisschen nervig.
Norman!
Kannst du nicht so sein wie andere Kinder in deinem Alter?
Du sagst doch immer, andere in meinem Alter würden nur Läden ausrauben und in der Gegend rumlungern.
What is your favorite zombie or horror movie? Or what directors influenced your movies?
I think you can't really do better than the George Romero Night of the Living Dead. That kind of started it all, and that was one of our kind of core touchstone reference points for this film. The kind of the classic shambling, foot dragging, groaning zombie. That was really what we're trying to pay tribute to in this film. And, you know, there've been many films since that kind of capture that essence. But zombies were, I think, zombies in the pantheon of movie monsters are kind of the most tragic, because it's really kind of a sort of like a metaphor for the march of death. It's something that we can't escape. And while that can be really sad, in this movie we're playing it for something else.
Und hat eine Gabe,
Guten Morgen.
die ziemlich außergewöhnlich ist.
Hallo, schön euch alle zu sehen.
Hey, Peace, Mann!
Total. Wie geht's denn so?
Hey, wie geht's dir?
Du kannst egal wann und wo Geister sehen, echt, Mann? Ja.
And what do you think has changed in the puppet animation since the 90s?
I think one of the things that certainly that we're trying to do to move the art form forward is that we're trying to bring new technology into the process. Stop motion as a process has been around for over 100 years. It was basically like the first special effects that people used in films. And it's basically the same. I mean, since Willis O'Brien was moving King Kong puppet up a skyscraper, we pretty much do the same thing to move Norman on a set. It's just one animator and a puppet moving frame by frame with cameras and lights and taking a picture at a time. What makes it different is that we're incorporating new technology into the process. So that means digital capture systems and rapid prototyping technology to make these faces, which give them more expressivity, make them really be able to emote in a nuanced way. And so by taking the craft and the technology and fusing them together, I think you get something that's really interesting.
Was machen wir jetzt mit?
Keine Ahnung, keine Ahnung.
Du bist der Älteste.
Aber nur körperlich.
It does take a long time. One of the ways that we minimize having to redo things, having to reshoot things, is that the process begins. A scene is storyboarded out, so we've pre-visualized the scene in drawn form, which limits kind of the chances that we take. We end up defining kind of what the scene is going to be about in drawings first, and then we go through and we will block a scene, which we'll shoot it very roughly to basically figure out the timings and the basics of the performance. Then we'll go through and rehearse it, and we shoot that on twos, where we take 2 exposures, 2 pictures for every pose, do that as quickly as we can, get feedback from the directors, and then we shoot it for real. So to get to a finished shot, it's actually gone through quite a series of steps to get to that point. But because we do that, it minimizes, we hardly ever do reshoots. I think we only did a handful in this entire film.
You have to pre-visualize a lot.
You have to. One of the things about stop motion that's different from hand-drawn animation or CG is you can't go back and constantly make iterations. You basically have to know exactly what you want to get and then go for it.
Are there some upcoming movies you're excited or looking forward to? Like animation movies or horror movies in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are entering a new era of animation where a lot more interesting things are happening. I just recently saw Brave, and I thought that was a great film. I'm interested to see what Tim Burton does with his next film. I'm interested to see what Henry Selick does with his next film. I think there are a lot of interesting things happening in animation. And horror too. I mean, horror is something that never gets old. Trying to find new ways to scare the hell out of people is always something that's fun. And while we're not really doing that on this film, but we are kind of paying tribute to that too. There's a lot of really great stuff that's coming out. It's a great time to be working in animation.
And one question, probably the most important one: what do you think? Should zombies be slow or able to run?
Zombies cannot run, people. Can we just put this to bed? They are rotting corpses. Their tendons are decomposing. They're not in top form. They can't run. They can shamble. Let's just put that to bed. That's all they can do.
No running zombies.
No running zombies. Zombies are not fast. Being a zombie is not a superpower. It's a disability.
It's quite scary. So.
They are scary, but they're slow, and they overwhelm you with sheer numbers, not speed.
And could you imagine to make a fully animated movie? No stop motion, just CGI?
Perhaps. I mean, I think when you get to how we approach things, I mean, we're generally kind of agnostic about what form these things take. Things could be done in hand-drawn animation or CG or stop motion. The fact is, we have a strength in stop motion, we have a history in stop motion at our company, and so we kind of tend to default to doing things in that way. But if you look at ParaNorman, we have CG elements, there's CG animation in there's hand-drawn animation in there, and there's stop motion animation. All forms of animation are in this one film. We take whatever tool makes the most sense to make the most effective film. I could see down the road us being involved in a fully CG film or a fully hand-drawn animated film, or continue to do stop motion. It just depends on what the story calls for.